we're like a junk drawer. We got a bunch of junk stuff in that drawer. And when you need something, you go and you start moving this stuff around. Oh, I don't need this. Let me throw that out. And that's all I do with people. It's like, let's clear out the junk drawer. And all the good, juicy stuff rise to the top. And then you're like, I can do this. Because I've done that myself. I said, I can do this. I didn't know. And so having those conversations, even like you said, someone points it out to you. I was like, well, when did the last time I do this? And, especially when you're going in for a job interview and I don't know how to get ready. And someone says, well, girlfriend, remember when you did this? Oh, yeah, I forgot. Oh, thank you for reminding me. I'm so great. Thank you. And it really shows you, when someone shows you your own receipts, that's when you're on your way.
Welcome to today's Heart of the Hustle. I am here with Benita Sharpe. I am so excited to have you here. You are so fun. You're one of those people who just lights up a room. And so I'm so excited to have you here.
But thank you for having me. And I'm so glad I light up the room. It's better than darkening it.
There are people who do that.
I know. Like, dang. Can we turn on the lights here?
So tell us a little bit about you. Tell us about what you do.
Well, a little bit about me. I won't go back from the day I was born.
I mean, you can.
No, we won't go that far back. That's a long, long story. I am, you know what? When I think about me, I think I'm a transformational servant leader. I didn't know that when I first got started. Through college and getting out of college and going through working with nonprofits and organizations, I started to develop that leadership skill. But then I think back to when I was a kid, they were saying I was so bossy. I just realized I was developing those managerial skills even on the playground. Look, that didn't make my mom, my dad, or my sisters happy. Well, it is what it is. Here I am. And as I transitioned to adulthood, working in corporate America at a point in time, developed that leadership skills and realized that there's some things that I am really good at, like working with individuals. I really love working with people and having them have that aha moment for themselves. And when I'm working with individuals, and I tell people I'm straight, no chaser. If you need some sugar or your syrup, I'll be there for you. Because sometimes when you're trying to help people along, they don't get it.
Yeah.
And I've sat in rooms where individuals are being coached and they had that look in their eyes like, what in the world are they talking about? So I'm that person that pulls you to the side and say, here, come here, girlfriend. Let me tell you what they're saying. Or let's help you get on the road to success as you define it, not how I define it. So out of that, I've been able to take teams that are underperforming, because I recognize underperformance means we're losing money and we're losing time. And we ain't got time to lose no money or no time, right? We got to get all our coins. Anyway, back to the story. So I started to develop with them by identifying what is the trend, what is this team missing? And as I began to work with different teams with different backgrounds, I always show up the same way. And at first people were like, oh, she's strict, she's mean, she's this, she's that. And at the end, I can't get them away from me because I am fabulous. If you didn't know, I am fabulous. But in that journey of working with individuals to bring them from an individual mindset to a team mindset, turning it around to where we go from what I call the bad news bears. And if you were born back in the day,
I loved the bad news bears.
I don't know if I'm Walter Matthau. I don't look like him. However, that same mindset of taking individuals who are working individual and bring them together as a collective unit so that we can achieve the goals, and we do it with fun, we do it with laughter. But I also realized as we built that relationship, they begin to trust me. But I noticed their confidence level change. They're willing to do more. And when you're willing to do more, you're willing to be more. And it's not just working with you for a job or a project, but really working with you as a whole person. Looking at the person as a human, looking at the person behind the data. And when you see someone and you really validate who they are and who they can be, it changes the whole trajectory for that person. So they go from bad news bear status to on their way to championship status. And that's what I like to do. It's just recently I remember someone saying to me, I've never seen my team where they were all in Target. I was like, you didn't know? I'm like, hey, I've never seen that. I said, well, you never worked with me before. And I really love the part of that self-development piece. And I've had conversations with individuals and says, okay, where do you want to go from now? And they were like, well, I've arrived. I'm like, no, we just got here. If you could do anything, what would you want to do? And let's create the strategy to do it. And so I see the excitement. I see this like they're being reborn. Like I was stuck in this little quicksand, slowly dying a slow death. And they see that they can change, they can reinvent themselves, have a revolution in their own heart and mind to get on the track that they design and not what someone else has given to them. So that's a little bit about me and how I do it.
I think sometimes we just need someone to believe in us and to show us who we could be that's different from who we are now. I had somebody come up to me recently and like kind of changed my life. And she was like, I think I want to reflect back to you what I see in you and that I don't think you're embracing fully. And it was like, oh, like I could do that. And she's like, yeah, like
Yeah.
you have all of those things. And it was, and I've been thinking about it ever since then. Like, even if I never see her or talk to her again, or, don't end up partnering with her, I think she changed my life because she saw something in me that I just didn't even know was there.
It's interesting. Other people see what you don't see. And it's great when someone kind of illuminates it for you. And when I'm chatting people up and talking to them, it's it's like all I do is help, quiet that chatter that says you can't. Yeah, you can. Let's move away that clug. I think about it. We're like a junk drawer. We got a bunch of junk stuff in that drawer. And when you need something, you go and you start moving this stuff around. Oh, I don't need this. Let me throw that out. And that's all I do with people. It's like, let's clear out the junk drawer. And all the good, juicy stuff rise to the top. And then you're like, I can do this. Because I've done that myself. I said, I could do this. I didn't know. And so having those conversations, even like you said, someone points it out to you, I was like, well, when did the last time I do this? And, especially when you're going in for a job interview and I don't know how to get ready. And someone says, well, girlfriend, remember when you did this? Oh, yeah, I forgot. Oh, thank you for reminding me. I'm so great. Thank you. And it really shows you, when someone shows you your own receipts, that's when you're on your way.
I have to say, AI has been very good from that perspective for me. Because I've uploaded, here are things that I've talked about, here's things that I've done and so forth. And, AI is, a little insidious because it always tells you you're right and how fabulous you are. But sometimes it's good, right? Like I've been working on like a new project and how do I, maybe positioning. And I like to just use AI as a place to bounce ideas off of while I'm driving in the car. I talk to it. And, it'll reflect back to me. They're like, no, you're playing small. You've done this, 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 and this. And you're like,
thank you. Thank you.
Okay, yeah, I am a badass.
Yes, you are a badass boss on top of that. But that's what we need, someone to help us because we will doubt ourselves. After we do years, think about how long you've been in the business. And then you get to a place like, oh, I'm not sure I can do this. You've been doing it for 20 years. And that's what has caused me to get into this I guess consulting, advisory, coaching type of mind frame. Because a friend said to me, I don't know if you know her, Nicolette Barrett.
I don't know.
She's a great resource for me. She invited me to say, hey, I want you to be one of my coaches. And I was like, well, what are you doing? And then I said, well, I don't know how to be a coach. She said, you do it every day. I said, I do? She said, yes. And then I was like, yeah, you're right. I've been coaching people for years. I didn't know you call it the coaching, though. And all the individuals, all the women that I really helped when they started their business and giving them tips from what I learned and says, hey, when one friend had a catering business, I said, you need to get a deposit. Just don't take their order and just go buy stuff. The deposit cements the contract. Another person, I was like, well, have you considered doing this? Or and they was like, well, great. One person back home, I'm originally from the Chicagoland area. She did great decor, balloons, and she would do Mother's Day baskets and she would do Easter baskets. And I said, I want an Easter basket for my daughter, but my daughter wasn't a candy eater. And so I designed it for her. And she said, well, no one will buy it because I'm competing against the big box. And I was like, yeah, girlfriend, people want this. And so I told her what I wanted. She made it for me and she displayed it. And everyone was trying to buy my basket. I said, I should get a commission off of that. That was my idea. That was my idea. So sharing those ideas because you can see what they can't see, and there is a market for it. If you want something for yourself, or if you see something and, people will tell you, no, no one's ever done that. Well, that's the best time to do it. No one's done it. You're the pioneer. You are the trailblazer. Why not capitalize on that?
Yeah. And we can't see the label from inside the bottle. It's my favorite phrase,
Oh,
you
that's
right?
good.
Can't see the label from inside the bottle. And it's so true. It's so true. It's why we all need coaches and guides and even just friends
Good friends.
who understand the business. And I think, we met through a group called the Girl Cave.
Yes.
And I know we both absolutely love that group. And that's one of the things I love about that group is it's all really powerful business women. So you can go to, a happy hour and be like, hey, I'm thinking about this, or show me something that I'm not seeing, or, I'm thinking about this, like, what am I missing? And I think it's so powerful to have. It doesn't have to be spend $250,000 to be in a mastermind or whatever. It can
Yes.
be having a network of other strong business leaders.
I have found that to be true over and over and over again for the Girl Cave. So that's my plug. You got to check out the Girl Cave because the caliber of women in that space has helped elevate my thinking and my perspective. And for you to go higher, you need to hang around people who are already higher. It's like, if you're a thousandaire, you need to hang out with millionaires, and millionaires need to hang out with billionaires if you want to get to that status. Now, if you are okay where you're at, I'm okay where you're at as well. No judgment in that space. But even in that same space, like when I speak to people and they talk about coaching or consulting, well, I like my job. I'm not looking to get promoted. And it's not, you have to be looking to get promoted, but think about how you can develop yourself and be the best you in that role. I don't want to be the same person I was last year. I want to be at least 10% better. At least, we're going to, go higher and try to achieve higher. But at a minimum, we want to be 10%.
Yeah. And even if it's 10% in a different area,
Yes.
because sometimes it's intimidating, like, okay, I have to keep getting bigger and bigger and bigger and better. And sometimes it's like, no, why don't you got this down.
Right.
How about grow here? Maybe grow in this
Absolutely.
area or grow in this area. And sometimes, when we were preparing for today, we were talking about sometimes the answer is leave the company too. And that's
Yes.
okay.
That is okay. That is okay. The good thing about that is I believe there is a season for everything. The part about being in with a stable 9 to 5 job is that security. It's like I know even if I don't do my job, they're gonna still give me a check on Friday. Even if I quiet quit, I don't know if people still doing that. I'm gonna still get my job until somebody say, "Hey, get back to work." But when it's you, I think here's this: taking the chance on yourself is courageous, it's brave. But here's this: in the where we're at now, we need companies to do something different, to take a chance on their employees, to level them up. I think when someone said this talent density, we're always focusing on the low achievers or the high performers, but there are people in the middle that we need to make an impact with to take them to, well, the 10%. Now, 10% is only a movement of, if you're thinking $10, that's only $1. Just to move the needle, that 10% can make a huge difference in any organization. And think about what it does for that individual, that group that's in that bell curve. If I'm investing in you and I see you, I build your confidence, I build your loyalty, I'm recognizing you. So then you want to do more to keep the agenda going, to keep the mission going for the company, because it's not just about dollars and cents, it's about the human factor that we seem to have forgotten about in this time.
Yeah. You talk about low performing teams.
Mhm.
And so I'm curious on your perspective. Is it always the leader's fault or is it the team's fault?
Well, it depends. Everything's it depends. I have been given a team where I requested the mishmash. Now, everyone's not on the team that's a low performer. I had high performer, I had some that's middle performer, and I had the folks that was dragging us down. And I had to really get in there and say, and it's been given to me. Now, I don't know if I've ever started off where I was the issue. I don't know. I'm fabulous. Of course it wasn't me. But here's this. I have found with new leaders, the lack of training, the lack of coaching, where we will train you in the metrics, we train you in the technical skills, but we don't necessarily train people in the people skills, those soft skills. So I have been coaching leaders who say, the crucial conversations is the sticky part. No one wants to tell the employees what's the what.
And a lot of times, by the time you're having the conversation, it's too late.
They're
too far gone.
Right. So I had a leader reach out to me and says, hey, I got this new leader and she needs to speak to her team, but she's don't want to have that crucial, hard, difficult conversation. And so I sat with her and I said, what's the issue? Well, they're not meeting the results. They're not achieving results. And I said, well, how do you think you should approach it? Well, I want to show her the data and this. And I said, well, have you ever asked that person what's going on? Show them the results and say, tell me what you see. Ask them, how are you seeing this? Or when this comes up, what's your response? And she was like, oh, no, I've never thought to do that. One, when you ask somebody, why are you doing this? Why are you not, producing? Find out the real reason. Is it they have a different perspective, or there's lack of training, or maybe they're coming from a different perspective, or someone else told them that there could be so many reasons. But the first step is to have the conversation to see their perspective and where they're coming from. And I've had people, I've been in leadership for a long time, and I've had people who I call them, they just got born into the company. You've been here 2 minutes and I've been here 200 years. And I will ask them questions and they'll say, oh, no, you're wrong in this, and this. And I'm like, oh, yeah, well, tell me more. And they'll go through the whole process. And that helps me, one, understand the person, understand their processes, how they think, how they approach things. So then that helps me to know how to respond to that person. If they're more shy with it, if they're conservative, or they're aggressive with it. And so when I respond, says, well, have you thought about this? If you look at this trend here, tell me what you see. Oh, I see what you're saying now. And it's not necessarily for me to tell them, but the self-discovery is even better. When they identify, ooh, I see the gap here. So to answer your questions, it could be the team, it could be the leader, it could be both. And it's how they're both showing up. Now, you have some people that's a will or skill type of thing. Now, if you don't have the skill, I can work with you. As a leader, it takes time and an investment to do the extra.
Yeah.
As opposed to you figure it out, or you don't know how to do that. I take the time to say, okay, what do you need? How can I help you get to that space? Because I'm here to not only serve you, I'm here to help you with your transformation. Now, at one point in time, if we've had discussions, plans of actions, and you have decided, no, I'm going to do it my way. Now, I have had that happen. Mm-hmm. And I've had to say, here's your performance memo, to the point that the next step is out the door. And I said, but I need you to get this right. If you get this right, you're going to take off. After that last memo, lo and behold, she let go. She turned it around. And after she turned it around, I said, I tell you, I'm leaving, but I bet you, I can't guarantee nothing, but I bet you at least in 3 to 6 months, you'll be promoted. She reached out to me, Miss Benita, I got promoted. I was like, yay. And that's the goal. That is what brings me joy.
And sometimes, they don't make it.
Sometimes they don't.
And they just are, it's too overwhelming, or they realize like this job just isn't for me. And I've been on both sides of that. I've been on the side where I've had to coach someone out of an organization because they were in a role that they were just not capable of being in. And I have been coached out of organizations because I've been put in a role that I was just not capable of being in because it just wasn't.
It's not you.
It wasn't the right skill set
Not
match,
fit.
and what they needed wasn't what I could deliver, and that's okay on either side.
Yeah, it's interesting you say that because I've had conversations where it's just not a fit.
Yeah.
And I would kind of give them tips like, if you could do anything else besides this, what would it be? And one person says, I would own an auto parts store. I was like, wow. And tell me why. And he would go into it. Another person told me I would be in real estate. Or one person said a musician. I said, you should pursue that. You should really pursue that. Start working on it now. And I understand, this is just your, angel investor to keep the food on the table and the lights on. But I recommend you pursue that because here I'm thinking in my mind, you're going to have to in a couple of weeks.
I was very lucky early in my career that I worked for companies who were willing to invest in giving me some of that management training because I didn't have it. So I grew up on the East Coast right outside New York City, and then I had moved to Austin. Very, very different cultures, right? And this is Austin in like early 2000s .com boom. And, back in the, keep Austin weird, I think it might still be a little bit different now, but I came in like a bull in a china shop because I'm a New Yorker, right? That's just, and so I'm so lucky that I had companies who instead were like, girlfriend, you're a bull in a china shop and you're out. They were like, you're a bull in a china shop, you're crazy talented, but you need to kind of learn how to work, work with other people in our culture because it was such a different regional culture because I moved back to Jersey later, 10 years later, and I had to go through it again.
Because the culture was different.
Yeah, because the culture in Jersey, I needed to go back to being more aggressive. And then I moved back here and I had to go back. But it's great to have that skill set. But I was so lucky. They actually sent me, I went to UT Austin, and they sent me through a management program. And it was one of the best things. I was so mad and so upset because I was like, I am fabulous. And how dare you? And everyone likes me. But I was afraid, right? I was afraid of losing my job. I was afraid nobody liked me. But it was such an incredible learning experience because I just never had any exposure to it. And a lot of companies never give you the exposure to how to lead people. They take an individual performer and they raise them up and they think that they're going to succeed, and it just doesn't work that way.
And it's different from being in the performer side to the leadership side. And I had to learn that as well. And some of that learnings is what I share with others, and coming from the Midwest, originally from Chicagoland area and down here, they told me I talk too fast. I'm thinking, well, maybe you're listening too slow. I don't know. But I had to receive that and slow it down. I don't know if I really still talk slower, but I do lean in and listen and making sure that I kind of feel the vibe for the person because everyone here in the Dallas area, they're not all from the South, but just knowing who I'm talking to and who I'm connecting with so I can partner with them effectively.
Yeah. So everybody, I worked in Europe after that, or at some point in there. And so I was back and forth to Europe, and Europe was even more sort of relationship first. New York, New Jersey is work first. And then if, maybe every once in a while we'll have, we'll go to happy hour and that'll be the personal side, but work first. And in Europe, it's all personal first. And then only after that can you get back to work. And so it had been like 10 years and I, gone back to Jersey and I was like, okay, I'm back. I can be back to my like, let's just go right straight to work. And then I started working in Europe and I realized, like there's a whole different culture of how to approach people
I'm
here.
that European jam. We got to be friends first or get to know you first. But that's that part of that coaching piece or that consulting piece. Let me know who you are because then I can, because one size does not fit all. Whoever made that up, that's not the truth at all. Let that go. But when you know with someone who they are, who they be, how they look at the world, then you can say, okay, we're a fit or we're not a fit, as opposed to work, because, that's the American way. Let's get to work.
Yeah. And I do believe, and tell me what you think about this.
Mhm.
I do believe that it's the leader's job to adapt and understand who the people are on their team and adapt on some level, certainly when they're meeting one-on-one, to understand, hey, you're, say, from Europe and you need to spend 5-10 minutes talking about your family and your vacations first before I can get to work. Do you agree with that, or do you think it's somewhere they need to meet somewhere in the middle?
I agree with that. Because here's this, because I'm like, run like that child, like, hey, here I come, here I come. And I had to identify early on as the extreme extrovert. I can't do that to my lovely introvert friends because they're like, oh, Lord, here she comes. I had to learn to read the body language. So what I start to do is when I get a new team, we just sit and talk and get to know each other. No work. Let me tell you about you and I tell you about me. Then I start to use the free, I'm not certified in any assessment, but I'll do the free disc analysis on the fun side and saying, hey, this is you. And so you can understand my DI personality and I understand your SC. So when we're talking, you're like, oh, yeah, she's direct, not because she's trying to be mean or hard. It's because that's who she is. And I know it takes you time to process, and I can just wait in the processing. And I find little fun icebreakers like that when I get a new team so that we can get to know not only each other, but the team as a whole. Because then I'll say, hey, the D's are over here, the I's are over here. So I'm finding fun things like that to do so that we get to know each other. And another thing I do in making sure that we get to know each other so we know how to work together, um, I'll do like vision mirrors. Let's talk about our vision. What do you have? Not just the work thing, that's your life. And then the last one was we were for Earth Day, let's plant some plants. And I was like, so what seed are you planting? Even though that says some chives, but you're really not planting chives. What is your chive? And it was just like it relaxes people. It says, okay, this is not, jumping into work. I'm getting to know you. You're getting to know me. We found out who had a green thumb, who had a garden, who didn't, and what did it represent to them. So that not only helps break the ice, but it gets on that path to relationship building.
I think that's why it's so important to do things outside the office.
Yes.
And do, everybody's like, team building, but it really does make a difference.
It does. It does. It's just even here, I'm going to take what I always do. I was told before, oh, she's strict. She will make you do your work, but at least she'll feed you. I'll bring you a plan of brownies. I know we had a hard week, y'all, but I made you some brownies. So I guess they appreciate the gesture, the thoughtfulness that as a leader, we are working. We do some hard things as leader, and as teams, we're asking them to do some hard things in such a short time frame, or you know, changing something because change fatigue is real. As one day you're doing this, the next day you're doing that. Oh goodness, I get a new manager, or you're bringing this person in. So to just take a time to pause and just say, "Hey, what's going on with you?" It is as I got a new team one time, I would call and say, "Hey, how you doing?" They said, "What did I do wrong?" Nothing. I just call and check on you. You don't know me, I don't know you, but I just call and check on you. After the third or fourth time, they were like, "Okay, hey, I'm doing great." And every call wasn't about work or metric or you missed something or you did something wrong. And that's what we're so used to. We get that brain, that automatic negative thought that tells you, oh, I must have did something wrong because they're calling me. So I started like, let me just call you and say, hey girl, hey.
That would freak me out too, I have to say. But that, once you get used to it,
Right.
it's great. Just because leaders don't do that, right? The only reason they call is because you're in trouble or they need you to do something.
And that's just why I do that. So I can break that. So when you go to, if there's another leader or another consultant, another coach, here's this. They're like, well, you're not calling to check on me. It'll start a new trend because the expectation is, well, she would call to check on me. Are you going to call and check on me? Oh man, I got to call and check on him.
I want to have a conversation with Benita. I want Benita to call me.
And at the end of it, I remember someone, Colleen, was someone who worked for me, said, I think God sent you here to help me get on the path that I needed to be on. And because of you, all the people that I worked with before couldn't get me to the next level. You got me to the next level. And now I do believe God is releasing you to go help some other people. And I said, you think? And then when I went to the next team, I said, yeah, they need some help. Okay, God, I see it.
That has to be so rewarding to hear that.
That is. That even the people I had to say, okay, this is not for you, they were like, you were the best person to help me get to this next point. And I'm like, oh, I just want to go out and, look. And even one person put my name down as their referral. I was like, hey, I'm here to help. I'm here to serve. And that doesn't mean just because you're not good in this role doesn't mean you can't be great in another role. And I want to support you in that role.
Because we've all been on both sides of that,
Yes.
right? Where we're in a job and we're like, oh, no. And I had an employee years ago, and she wasn't doing great. She was fairly new. I've been in the company maybe 3 months, and was just it wasn't a good fit. Just wasn't a good fit. And she knew it. I knew it. Everybody knew it. Right. And so finally, like, I called her into my office and I was like, okay. And she sat down. She was like, I'm like, I think we need to talk. And she goes, I'm terrible at this job, aren't I?
It's like, thank you for saying that, because I didn't want to. And you don't want to tell anybody, this is really not you. You are terrible. Actually, you really, really, really are bad.
It was just, I love that I had developed that kind of relationship with my team, that they could come in and be like, oh my God, I'm terrible at this job, aren't I? And I was like, you are.
Yes.
You are terrible at this job. And she was like, yeah, I need to go, don't I? And I was like, I wish I had something for you. I just don't. Whatever. You got to it, whatever. Notice we gave her some severance. I'm happy to be, and she's used me. Same thing. She used me as a reference
Yes.
afterwards. And I was like, she just wasn't a good fit for this. It doesn't mean she wouldn't be good, and
Absolutely.
now I know what she would be good at, but that's just not what we needed at that moment. Right?
Absolutely. And that's what I tell people. I said, it's all business when you come down to it. I know it feels personal. It hurts. But even if you're staying in the same place and not being promoted, or you have decided if the relationship has decided to be severed, I do believe it's a blessing sometimes for you to be let go so that you can find what is for you. It is not necessarily, it's a business decision, and it's not a personal attack on anyone, but we hold on to what's good when God has something great for us. And the letting go of the good is hard because we don't know anything else and we don't know anything better. So I try to say, okay, God, I'm holding on to this good thing with my dear life. And he has like pry your hands from it one finger at a time, because there is greatness waiting for you and greatness in you. And so as a coach, consultant, or whatever we call it, a growth strategist, at this point, it's like, I'm here to partner with you so that you can get to that great part, that greatness, that goodness, that, I'm so glad I did this place in your journey.
I love the saying, everything that I needed to let go of has claw marks in it.
Yes, I like that.
Because I don't want to give it up, right? It feels comfy. It feels safe. I'm scared. I'm scared I'm not going to do as well, or I'm not going to make as much money, or people people aren't going to like me. That's the number one.
I never think that.
No?
No. I always think I'm going to mess up, they're going to figure out I don't know what I'm doing. That's mine. Ooh, they going to realize I don't know what I'm doing here. So, let me try to be invisible till I figure it out. And even though as loud as I am and as vibrant I am, I'm thinking, I'm just dimming a little bit. No one notices it, but in my own brain, and that's the thing we have to speak against, because it's our own brain trying to keep us comfortable, which I don't like. I'm thinking, wait a minute, I'm trying to keep myself comfortable, which is not helping me grow. This doesn't make sense as I go in this vicious circle in my head.
Have you always been like that? When you even as a little girl, were you always striving to be better and to grow?
Let me
And
tell you, growing up, I grew up with I have older sister, younger brother. And they play the comparison games when you're growing up. And I used to think to myself, I'm going to show them. I'm going to show them. And I got to the point as an adult and said, yep, I showed them. And I'm good with where I'm at. And no one knew I was competing with anybody but me. But I was showing all the folks who said, I remember I was never going to get married. I'm married, coming up 32 years. I'm not nice. Nobody's going to like me. And I have a lot of people that like me, if not love me, because I'm fabulous. All the things. Oh, I will never be a good leader. I'm a great leader, and I have the receipts to prove it. So it's always when people would say stuff and not realize, or why did they pick her? What's so great about her? When people would say that, not knowing that I knew that, in my mind was, I'll show them. I show them.
And you have.
And I have, but I got to now show me. Because now what happens is you get to a place where you start to doubt yourself, and you need a Sherry Sutton to remind you, oh yeah, you can do big things, you can do great things. And I was like, yeah, I don't know. It's like, where on this journey did I forget? It's like turning 40 makes you forget stuff. I don't know. But we need a reminder. And that's why it's great to be around like-minded people. But I also say this is another reason I believe everyone should have a coach of some sort, because professional football players have them. They know how to play football, but they have a coach. Basketball players, actresses, musicians, they have voice coaches to help, not to teach you how to it, but how to make you better, how to cultivate that, how to tweak it to get you to the level that you want, but not only just say, okay, I've arrived, but how do we keep that, maintain it, sustain it? And then you're able to help and bring someone else along, because it's not just for us to get there and say, I'm at the top and I got there, but now who can you lift up? Because I believe God has not given this all to me just for me to have it. I mean, what good is it? It's like me sitting on a goose, sitting on some eggs. Just sitting here. I got all the answers. The golden goose. I'm the golden goose. I'm sitting on the golden eggs, and I'm not sharing it with nobody. Well, that's pointless. Let's go and have golden goose and let some of them golden eggs. Give everyone a golden ticket. Everyone gets a golden ticket. Everyone gets it, like Willy Wonka. Everybody gets a golden ticket. Not just one. Well, only if you deserve it, I guess. That's a way to think about it. Yeah. And I do have all these thoughts that go in my head over and over again.
And one of the things that, as you were talking about, like the athletes and the, actresses or actors, they also, not only do they have coaches, but they put in the reps every single day. And they're, just because they're good doesn't mean they ever stop practicing.
No.
And so we were just having this conversation yesterday. My husband's a coach. So we're just having this conversation with my son yesterday. Like, you can't just show up for the game and be good.
Right.
You're good at the game because you spent every other day in the gym putting in the reps.
You got to put in the work.
You got to put in the work.
You got to put in the work. And it's just not practice. It's perfecting your practice so that your execution. We were at an event, and someone who's a great speaker said, oh, I still practice my speeches. And I'm thinking, wow, you are a great speaker and you're practicing. That's like, okay, I need to be practicing better. I need to be doing more. I need to be more intentional in my preparation.
That's funny. I think we were at the same thing, and I was in the audience too. And I did a keynote earlier this week, and that came to mind because I was like, "Oh, I'll be fine."
Yes, because I've done this before.
I can just get up there and wing it. I'll be good. And I was like, you know what? She's making a lot more money than me, and maybe there's something to that. And so, how about we spend days, weeks practicing this one? And let's see how it is. Let's see how much better it is. And it really was.
What I found interesting is, just like you said, I already know what to do. I've done it before. When I started to practice it, I was like, I was like, when did I learn not how to talk and speak in front of the camera? When did that happen? Which showed me I needed to practice intentionally to stay on focus, not to go down a rabbit hole, to stay within my time frame, to make sure that all my mannerisms stay calm and don't freak anybody out because I'm moving too fast. Yeah.
I did a TEDx in 2024, And going through that process taught me so much about being a speaker. Because I think people like you and I, we're just sort of naturally able, we got the gift of gab. We're pretty outgoing. We can get on stage, we can talk and have a reasonably good thing generally come out of our mouths. But with the TED, it was the way that I prepped for it. I had a coach. We worked on it for 3 months.
Wow.
And the first month we wrote it. Well, the first month I just like spit out all the things that I wanted to talk about because I told my recovery story. And that was very personal. And so I can talk about business all day long and that's easy. But when you're talking, I mean, it was a very vulnerable thing, but I felt it was important for me to share that with other people. So the first month was me just, throwing up all the stuff. The second month was, okay, how do we dissect this into a good talk? And then literally the third month was nothing but memorizing, just over and over and over and over and over again. And literally I had, cue cards throughout my whole office and I'd walk around my office in circles giving it, right, to get it into my body. And then I had a second coach who then helped me with just body language and my voice and the softness of this part you're going to be soft and this part you're going to go up. And it was a totally different speaking style than what I normally do, which is just kind of, like, hey, and I'm relatively entertaining. Let's go. And it taught me so much because I memorized every single word and I didn't go off script and I knew exactly what I was going to say. And I had practiced the crap out of it. And even today, it's been a couple year and a half, I bet you I could still recite 75% of it. But it was just such an interesting way to learn how to be a speaker in a very different way. And I was so glad that I did it because it took me out of my comfort zone. And I think it's so important for us to do that, whether it's speaking or something else, right? Put yourself outside your comfort zone and do something a little different.
I find that fascinating because as I'm learning to that speaker piece, like you said, I can get up and do an improv. You give me a topic, I'll get to talking. Now, not to say it all makes sense, or I would tell somebody, you may want to fact check me as well, because you never know if it's outdated or if it doesn't even exist. But as I'm watching the dynamics of being a speaker, on stage speaker, and now I'm learning what I thought it would be, as opposed to the dynamics that goes along with that. You can't just get up there and talk and just say, there has to be a story, there has to be something to capture. There's so many parts to it. So now when I'm watching or listening to other speakers, I'm thinking to myself, are they doing this or are they not doing this? And what part are they missing? And that's helping me even cultivate how I look at it and how I prep, because I'm saying, okay, they're doing this, but maybe maybe if I was that, I would take it a little step further, or I would bring this out, or I'll pull this back. And it's just interesting because it's not just get up there and just start talking. There's a whole system to being on stage.
And I think it's the difference between being a high school athlete and being a professional athlete.
Yes.
Right. You can be good.
You can be good.
You can be good, but you're not going to be great.
Right.
You have to put in those reps and change things. And think about Tiger Woods, how he changed his entire swing at the height of his career because he was like, okay, this is going to get me to the next level. And it worked.
Yes.
I guess Tiger Woods has kind of fallen out of grace, but.
Well, he's still a good golfer.
He's still a good golfer.
Yes.
So we still like him for that.
Yeah. He has issues that we all have. It's just his is in the public eye. You just don't see mine.
Amen to that.
And thank God, there's some things about not being famous. So yes, oh my goodness.
And you are really great on stage. So tell us some of the stages that, the places where you're speaking, that you want to be speaking, and the things that you love to talk about. Because, I think you're so inspiring, and from the stage, it really translates.
Thank you for that. I was like, am I? Just what we just said. I have done some things. It's interesting. I started when I was in Illinois. I was a part of the church and I was one of the leaders. I was actually the president of the women's department. And I started putting together seminars and leadership retreats. So I had to keep in mind that it's almost like when I go on stage, I become a different person. Let's like Beyonce and Sasha Spears. I become fabulous Benita. And so, um, and I'm really mindful of the audience and making sure that I'm not, you know, taking over, the program is not about me. It's about the program. It's about the speaker that's coming before me. So I have spoken this one event. It was called Ignite and Elevate. And the topic was diligence in the pain and really having the audience, speak back to me, giving them something to think about. And as we talk about the Girl Cave, I did the lunch and learn there. And really, the topic was the power of the pivot. What are you thinking about? And that's really what I focus on is what are you thinking about? Because what you think about, you bring about, good or bad. What you think about, you talk about, and you bring into existence. That's what you attract. So, how can we take what we're thinking about and reshape it, reframe it to give us the outcomes we want, as opposed to just thinking randomly and allowing our subconscious mind to take over and tell us, you better not do that because you might fail. Well, if I do it, I may succeed. Okay. And reframing that thought process. So I spoke at and the Girl Cave had their last year, their retreat. It was wonderful. I was one of the presenters in that space. So I look to do more of that, presenting in the space that really attracts women, along with organizations, is just really speak to, organizations saying, hey, what are your leaders doing with their teams? Are they really seeing who they are? Are they looking to look past it? Because I believe past the results are the people. Every Behind every result, there are people because the people drive the results. So what are we doing to help those people get better results? And it all starts with how you think, how you see something. So, and another goal is, for me to finally get on that e-women stage. I don't know if it's going to be the next greatest speaker, but somehow get on the e-women stage as well. So those are some of the things, and just putting myself out there to say, hey girl, hey, I'm here to help you. I'm here to serve you.
E-Women, for anybody who doesn't know, is a incredible international networking group that we're both a part of, and we're both members of their speaker network. So we're going through all the training for that right now, and
learning a lot right now.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. Shout out to Tony Caruso. We love you, Tony.
We love you, Tony, and
She's
all
amazing.
that you do to make us better speakers. Yes.
I'm always like, give me more feedback, and she's like, hey, you're good. I'm like, no.
I need more.
Beat me up. Tell me what I did right.
Nah, don't beat me up. Just give me a little bit of. She tells me I'm hiding in the shadows. She said, come on, Benita, you always hiding in the shadows, which is interesting because I normally don't hide, but I'm taking it all in. And to listen to other people and see, this is how do they do this? How do they show up? And then be saying, I have an idea. Okay, so now I know how to show up authentically myself. I'm not ever going to show up like the beautiful Sherry Sutton, but I'm going to show up. That's the fabulous Benita. But I have an idea of what it sounds like, what it looks like, how things flow.
And I think that's it's so important for a leader in whatever way, right? Whether you're managing people or, is showing up and not thinking that you know it all, and taking a moment to watch people who do, take it in, learn from them, and then come in, and then try it. And I think that's something that I admire about you, because I've seen you do that, because I we're in different groups together, and some you're like, okay, I know this group, I know how to interact. And then like e-women, I see you're like, all right, I'm going to sit back for a second, and I'm going to watch, and I'm going to learn, and I'm going to wait until I feel like I understand what this dynamic is, and then I'm going to pop out.
And I'm going to pop out.
Yep.
Yes. Just like the Jack in Box, and I will pop out like Jack in Box. Like, whoa, where did she come from? Moving around like this. And you know what? The good thing about it, it's all doing it and having a good time, because life is hard. But it doesn't have to be so hard that we can laugh through it. We can keep it lighthearted as we learn and grow together, because we're all on the journey of learning and growing and just elevating ourselves. So let's just have fun doing it and laughing and chuckling along the way. And if we fall down, I'll pick you up, you pick me up, and we can brush whatever off, and keep it moving.
Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for inviting me.
Tell us where we can find you if anybody wants to find you.
Well, I would invite you to my house, but there'd be too many people in the neighborhood and we don't have enough parking. So you can check me out on LinkedIn, Benita L. Sharpe. And Sharpe has an E on the end. It looks naked without the E. And www.b, the letter B, sharpe, SHARPE.net.
Awesome. Thanks for being here.
Thank you.